Well, that was a good stream, chat. I hope you enjoyed it. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day, guys. It's blazing! Can you talk like a Japanese hype man? Umehara! Karani Umehara! Taiku! Ikimashita! Kimatta! Korega Umehara no Sokochi kara! I fucking hate Japanese FGC announcers, by the way, because they speak like that throughout the entire fucking match non-stop, and I can't stand it, honestly. I like the Japanese chat for watching fighting game tournaments, but I fucking hate the Japanese announcers once they start going like full hype mode. Finally, I missed you, my neat Hafu father. I'm not actually a neat, if you think about it. We're just pretending that way, because I have income. I think fewer of us are, like, real neats in the truest sense of the term. Like, even when I was fully unemployed, I was still looking for jobs back in, like, during the recession. And I was also playing, like, Final Fantasy XI for, like, 8 hours a day and shit. So, I had, like, a version of a job, essentially. I think there's very few people who are true neats, who have the true power of the neats flowing through their veins, who can embrace being completely unemployed and not giving a fuck. It takes very strong mental toughness to be able to do that. Kimeta! Umehara ga! Yeah, it's extremely annoying. It didn't really bother me when I was younger, but as I got older, I found all the screaming very annoying. Also, I don't necessarily like American hype men, though, either. There's just fewer. What I like is Japanese commentary when the commentary is, like, super subdued and just, like, analysis. Like, I used to watch Magic the Gathering streams because they used to have a Magic the Gathering Japanese Twitch channel where they would have, like, other Japanese players just straight up talk over the match. And they would have, like, the world champion Magic the Gathering Japanese player just, like, straight up there in commentary talking about what's going on. I was like, holy shit. This is like the equivalent of, like, having Michael Jordan, if he wasn't retired and he was still playing, doing commentary during, like, the NBA Finals. This is kind of insane if you think about it. But I think they cut all their Japanese stuff because, you know, Wizards of the Coast no longer wants to pay for anything nice at this point, so. If you want to watch cringe, watch Best Guilty Gear Moments. Will we ever have a Guilty Gear moment that's more hype than when Guilty Gear was being fucking shown on ESPN2 and the guy stood up because he got so hype for his own finish and he forgot that he was still round 2 of 3 and lost. And the announcer was like, "Don't stand up! It ain't over yet!" And there was like a ESPN Top 10 replay. Yeah, that's right. Woshige did it. I forgot who it was. That was the most mainstream Guilty Gear will ever be in our lifetimes. Fucking Guilty Gear on ESPN of all games. That brief period in which ESPN was like, esports is the future. We need to get on this hype train while we still have time. And that did not go very well now, did it? Is esports dead completely? I think the answer is yes. I don't think we even really need to debate this. It was born dead. I mean, it certainly shouldn't have to be profitable. Was there ever a dumber idea than the Overwatch League being like, we will now have individual stadiums in each of these cities? I was like, Keck W. Man, that was an insane scam once you think about it. The fact that they were actually like able to successfully convince people to pay like $6 million or whatever, some insane money for buy-in for each of the fucking teams. Now that was a situation where if you were an investor, you got your ass raped. Pretty funny. Female Overwatch League, yeah, I guess that was the peak. Anything in which they were like, we need to have a female sports team of this already dead esports league is when it is truly reaches its peak moment of death. They asked $10 million for Season 2 teams. Jesus Christ. That's really funny. Somehow, with all the complaints about Nintendo being greedy, we have forgotten how greedy Western video game companies actually are. Somehow the Nintendo $80 price point on their games doesn't seem so bad right now when you remember the type of insane shit that Activision, Blizzard, and stuff were trying to do to make money. 10 million is not that much if you're thinking in terms of actual sports. Yes. The key word here is actual sports, in which Overwatch League was not an actual sport. In fact, it wasn't even that popular in terms of like esports, I think. It's kind of hard to tell because there's so many fucking bots in all of these things, but I always thought that Overwatch was a really shitty product to watch as an esport that would never be able to attract any kind of a casual audience. Although maybe a casual audience isn't needed in the first place, and that might be the wrong way to think about it, but it's just like, so there's too many characters. There's too much shit going on at the same time. A lot of the games come down to like, oh my god, he pressed the alt at the right time! And then like the entire screen explodes into a bunch of colors, and then like a bunch of characters die, and it's like, oh, he did it! And if you're someone who doesn't actually play Overwatch and can't process the 10 million different things happening in your eye, in front of your eyeballs, you probably have no idea what's fucking happening. Overwatch was a game that would never have esports without forcing it with venture capital. It's not the right game design. So, theoretically, the best game design that is most appealing to normies who don't play the video games is fighting games, because it happens all from the same viewpoint. So you don't have to switch between multiple cameras. Like, it's pretty crazy that CSGO is as popular as it is as a competitive league, because you have to be like aware of all the maps and stuff and understand where people are at every point for you to actually understand what like the significance of what's being done. But on the other hand, I'm guessing most of the people in CSGO are just CSGO players themselves instead of like people who don't actually play the game, so it's kind of irrelevant. F for Overwatch art director. He died last week. Is that the same as the character designer? 'Cause I don't think the entirety of Overwatch art direction is that good, other than like the initial character designer, who contributed to 10 million SFM porn videos. Nintendo charging extra as a joke as they keep selling same games as a quarter of a century ago. 100 bucks a game irks me. I wouldn't mind Nintendo charging 100 bucks for a game if the games went down in price like it does in the normal video game market. Like Baldur's Gate 3 still gets like thousands of players on Steam, and it's still very much a new game in terms of like the amount of player interest in it, but I can go online at eBay and buy it for like 45 bucks for my PS5, a used non-digital like CD copy that they, not CD, Blu-ray copy for PS5 that they were selling in Japanese market. So that's like, you know, that's significantly cheaper than $70 or whatever the fuck, right? But Nintendo games, like, even if they're insanely old, they're still like $50, $60. They never go on sale. People never sell them. They probably have a shit ton of artificial scarcity going on. I fucking hate flu and having a cold. I just want to vet a little bit. Stop being a pussy and get well soon, I guess. I will never buy Nintendo games, but how will you play Nintendo games then? Considering that no one in this chat would ever possibly do something illegal regarding Nintendo games, such as copying them on the internet, because that is illegal and we don't do that here. Isn't that right, fellow completely law-abiding citizens? We would never think about robbing Nintendo of its well-deserved profits, because that would be wrong. No matter how high they price the games, we will under no circumstance ever pirate a Nintendo game. How will we play Bloodborne 2? So is, what was it called? I forgot what they were calling it. Something Blood? Is that actually like multiplayer only? Like you just have the arena and you fight other players? Seriously? That's what I heard very briefly. Dustblood? What the fuck was it called? I don't think it was Dustblood. What was it? Something Blood, right? Duskbloods, yeah, not Dustblood. You're mixing the hit video game Dustborn with it's weird. Hold on, let me actually look it up. Duskbloods player versus player? Will that show up? The game is described as a PvPvE game. Features players fighting other players while also being pitted against NPCs. This sounds like an incomplete version of a From game. I know there's like probably one person in chat who's like, Dark Souls 2 is the best Soulsborne video game because it has the most robust player versus player system. And to that person I say, shut the fuck up, you have horrible taste. If you want to play a proper PvP game, like play Street Fighter or something. Souls games, player versus player is always awful. Horribly imbalanced bullshit. It was better in Demon Souls when it was just about being like silly and griefing people. But then people started to get all like, you know, this is like a real PvP shit, and we're gonna go to the arena and properly fight and stuff. And it was just like, now this shit is stupid. It's built around PvE first. I mean, I tried playing, for example, Armored Core PvP for like 5 seconds, and I was like, yeah, this is fucking awful. From Software does not have any kind of like significant experience in PvP, both network coding and just like general balance and shit. And anybody who's like, I'm gonna spend 1,000,000 hours on PvP is wasting their fucking time. Which version of Nightingale is that? The Sexo Condom one. People had rules and manners to invading in Elden Ring. Stupid as fuck. It was, I found it fun back in the day on PlayStation 3 when I was playing Demon's Souls. And it was still, like, all silly shit. But after a while, people got too serious about it. Also, it kind of ruins the atmosphere, so it's only something I do when I get bored of the base game, which doesn't happen if the game's good enough, like Elden Ring. Demon's Souls PvP, Second Chase, Katana Cunt, or Dragon Bone Smasher Schmuck. There's also, they also had, what was it? It wasn't Scarlet Rot, but Toxic. There was also Toxic builds, I remember. What else? Wasn't there also Regenerator builds? I think it was oddly well balanced, besides, you know, dying in one hit from Dragon Bone Smasher, of course. Got tired of people invading in Dark Souls. I mean, the number one reason why I would never experience PvP is that in most cases in these games you have to use some kind of item or defeat a boss. Or not even defeat a boss, you just have to use an item in most cases to go out of the hollow state. And I'm such a fucking cheap asshole when it comes to using any kind of item that is somewhat limited. I would just never use the item. So I'd just be like in my zombie version the entire game. I was like, I don't care if there's like hit point penalties. I'm just not going to play online. But I'm trying to enjoy the verisimilitude of this world that Miyazaki has created, where everything is dead and depressing and stuff. So I don't want to be online and have, you know, Sephiroth's large cock 420 XXX invade my perfectly articulated Miyazaki artistic world and remind me that I'm, you know, on the internet with a bunch of dumbasses. I don't need Tifa's sweaty armpits invading every 5 seconds, you know? JRPGs with farming are the reason why Cheat Engine exists. Wasn't the number of, what was it, something arc, what was it? What was it called? Rune arcs that you used to get out of your hollow state in Elden Ring Limited? Or is there a way to farm them? I can't remember. If it was Demon Souls, you would just go online and invade as a blue phantom and then defeat the boss. And then you would basically have an unlimited amount of revives, right? Because you would do co-op and then you would do invasions and then you would do co-op and invasions and stuff. But I don't think that's the case for Elden Ring. I don't remember how this shit works. You get them from co-op? Okay, so it's the same. I mean, I just don't want to play with other people. I've been playing a little bit of co-op in Monster Hunter recently, actually, because the hunting horn support abilities in this game are extremely robust, and you can do a lot of cool healing shit. The problem is that even if I do like join up with somebody in Monster Hunter, they're just gonna murder the monster in like 3 minutes anyways, so nobody is bad enough at Monster Hunter at this point in 2025 to actually need all the cool healing I can do with Hunting Horn, unfortunately. So it sort of feels like a waste. Obviously, like, I can just give the other buffs, like, you know, give people attack up large and then just like fucking annihilate shit, but the monster is already dying in 3 minutes in the first place. Sometimes in Monster Hunter Wilds, you get on your fucking dino mount and you're trying to get there in like 30 seconds, and by the time you get there, you know, the greatsword user has already stunned the poor monster like 5 times and it's about to die, and it's like, well, that was cool. 2-minute hunt, guys. Thanks for the matchup. I haven't got into like Tempered Zoshia and stuff, so maybe when I get to those fights, people will be actually having difficulty. But I'm still farming some of the hard mode monsters, and man, they die pretty quickly. I just kind of miss the times when we were on PS2 Final Fantasy 11 and stuff era, where the game was so hard that if you didn't team up, you were basically fucked. There was nothing you could do. You had to cooperate with people, and a player's skill was hardly as important as the number of people he knew. The people with the largest phone books full of friends were the strongest players in Final Fantasy 11. It was kind of awesome. You were like, yeah, you might be good at this video game, but that doesn't mean shit compared to the fact that I have all the numbers of all these jobless neets who stay at home all day playing this fucking game. And I can call them up and they'll show up as soon as I call them because they have nothing better to do because they don't have a job. Horrible game design. People like you are the reason why we don't have any good MMORPGs anymore. You need to be willing to inconvenience your fan base. Recent video games are all just like, no, if we do that, then players who have jobs and kids and stuff won't be able to play the game. And they're right, I probably wouldn't play the game because I can't sacrifice 1,000 hours to a fucking MMORPG, but that's what gave it soul and meaning. Bullshit? You should try playing Final Fantasy XIV, the ancestor of Final Fantasy XI, and see how much people talk to each other and cooperate. The answer is none, because they don't have to. Because you just fire up the fucking instance, you go in, you just run the fucking dungeon, and then you leave, and nobody fucking talks to each other. It's entirely the same as if you were just playing with NPCs. It's eliminated all of like the bullshit of the internet. That is what made the internet interesting when you were on the internet in 2007 or whatever. But I guess all of you are too much of being fucking kiddies to even understand what that was like. There was a time when people thought that the internet was like real life, so they talked to each other, and then you got all sorts of weirdos on your internet. Tell me about that, Oji-san. Hey, you don't have to believe that life was better in the earlier stages of the internet, because you won't be able to go back anyways. I shouldn't torture you with bygone visions of a time when shit wasn't as horrible. I hate the Nightingale swimsuit outfit. This isn't a swimsuit. This is her Halloween costume. Which means she's just walking around like this on Halloween. What a giga slut. Halloween nurse outfit. This is a medical professional, people. Show her the respect she deserves. Making sure the boobs are the same size right now. Good. You just called her a slut, though. She's a good person, so I'm sure she'll forgive me for my mean words to her. Do you guys remember in One Piece how Whitebeard had like a bunch of nurses attending to his medical needs because he was about to die? And all of them were wearing like leopard skin stockings or some shit. I can't remember specifically what they were wearing. Yeah, this is what it looks like. Oda being like, you know what? I'm gonna take the extra time to have me or my assistants give all of the fucking nurses fucking leopard skin patterns on their thigh-high boots. sexo. Whitebeard was such a Chad. Yeah. Gotta make sure you got the Viagra drip going into all the veins. Oda is living proof that you should just draw what you want to draw and give zero fucks about what anybody says. And he even has an entire mail system in which he can have his biggest fans write to him and be like, Oda-sensei, I really like Sanji, but as a girl, I don't like the fact that you always draw him with all that leg hair. Please stop doing it. So you can just be like, no. Oda just being like, LMAO, no. Sanji will always have leg hair. Draw what you want to draw and also have it be what everyone wants to see. There isn't any like hard standard for what everyone wants to see, so don't worry too much. Just draw what you want to. Draw strongly favors people with conventional tastes. Look, do you want to be popular or do you want to express what's deep inside your soul? Okay. I want to draw inflation. I mean, there's a pretty large market for inflation. You can make a drawing. You could make a living just drawing inflation if you're willing to do commissions for other inflation Kumers. You're not alone out there thanks to the internet. There are many fellow inflation believers waiting for your output. I probably couldn't get Oda and Famous on inflation. You don't actually want to get Oda and Famous. I'm combining the words now. Oda hasn't been allowed to take extended breaks for years, and he's suffering from shit like gout. He's essentially killing himself to draw One Piece. You don't want to be that popular. It's not worth it. Didn't he give up smoking, though? Giving up smoking doesn't magically make you healthy if all you do is sit in front of your fucking desk for 12 hours a day. Who wants to live a long time? I don't want to die when I'm 50 because I've been dedicating my life to drawing a single manga my entire life. That's Oda pushing himself into sickness. He can tell Shueisha to fuck off and get another time skip break. I mean, the truth is, Oda probably should have, instead of getting more breaks, and he is getting breaks, he gets like a week off every month or so, doesn't he? He takes pretty extended, not extended breaks, but based on previous standards of insane weekly manga schedules, he was getting a good number of breaks. The thing is that he shouldn't have been... He shouldn't have caused the story to go for 100 volumes. That's the thing. I know this is painful to think about, but One Piece would be a better story if it wrapped up at like 70 volumes or 50 volumes instead of going for 100 plus 140 volumes or whatever the fuck it's going to take for it to get there. And Oda would be in a better shape and not about to die. Good thing you started your manga in the late 30s then. You're asking for a timeout right now, Constrictor. You're trying to really speed run that timeout right there. A lot of mangaka actually take quite a while before they get to getting greenlit on whatever their series is. There's some mangaka that had to do like being an assistant for like 25 years before they got to get their own series because the mangaka they're working for was like, no, you can't leave. I need you to draw backgrounds. If you're not here to draw backgrounds, I won't be able to make the weekly deadline, so I literally forbid you to leave. Hashtag Japanese work culture. What about the option of just having his assistant do 100% of artwork and just hide Oda some way to keep him from kicking the bucket? I mean, that's what they should be doing with Togashi and Hunter x Hunter, right? Way more than Oda. There's a online Shonen Jump manga called One Piece School or something. I don't know if you guys know about it. I assume it's not very famous because it's not particularly good, but the author of it is doing a good approximation of One Piece, how One Piece looks like. It got me thinking about how much easier it is to approximate some styles than others, and it probably has a lot to do with how good the author is, the original author is. See? It doesn't look exactly like Oda, but it looks relatively close, doesn't it? It looks like early Oda, basically. Like, around volume 10 or 12 or so. There's not enough panels for it to be Oda at this point, but even the paneling is similar. Even the Don is similar. And an interesting thought experiment is comparing that to Dragon Ball Super, which is also trying really, really hard to make it look similar to the original Dragon Ball, and yet there's something that just feels extremely off, you know? It shows you how one of a kind Toriyama was, because you just can't really approximate the energy. Toriyama understood comic as a medium like no other. I actually disagree with that. I think there's a lot of stuff that Toriyama did that he got away with that was incorrect in terms of like paneling and stuff. Like he would switch the camera angles too quickly, in which he would start. He would do shit where like Vegeta would be punching from this side, right? And then the next channel, you would be completely switching, and then like Piccolo would be getting punched. So it'd be going like this and then going like this. And this is bad flow in terms of combat flow. I don't think Toriyama was as good at showing movement with paneling as people give him credit for, compared to some of his the people who came after him, like Togashi and stuff like that. He was an insanely good illustrator and insanely good character designer. He's probably the best character designer in history, if you think about it. This neck is too long. I always felt movement was his forte. I mean, whether movement is properly being transmitted to the viewer's brain, a lot of it is relies on the viewer's ability to visualize what's happening. So it's not a completely objective thing that you can determine, but there are certain things that I feel that lesser artists would not be able to get away with that Toriyama got away with, because he was so good at a lot of the other aspects. The flow of pages isn't as great. Yeah, he also had, I would say there are some areas where he had too much dialogue. The plot, I think everybody can agree that Dragon Ball's plot is neither that well thought out or that engaging, besides the moments where you're like, whoa, let's go! Toriyama was just a really good character designer and illustrator, and he was good at creating atmosphere and worlds and stuff. And he was so good at it that he had a lot of other flaws as a manga artist that people were extremely willing to overlook because they just enjoyed being in the space that he created. Will this VOD be up? I don't delete VODs unless I dox myself, which has only happened 12 times in the past. Who would be the Japanese equivalent to Rob Liefeld? I mean, there's way more Japanese manga authors who can't draw basic anatomy than American comic illustrators. Just like way more. Japanese manga artists are infamous for getting away with it. On my desktop right now, I think I had a Captain Tsubasa. Yeah, here we go. It's still on my desktop because I haven't organized my desktop in like 8 months. This is the most popular soccer manga in history on the planet that has inspired hundreds of professional soccer players as children to become a professional soccer player. Now, you might notice there might be something slightly off with anatomy, body proportions, perspective, various things in this image, but you have to be a professional artist to notice, really. It's very subtle. See if you can point out the parts of this image's character anatomy that are incorrect. Looks right to me. People didn't give a fuck in the 90s when this was like the most popular soccer manga of all time, so it really shows that it doesn't give a... nobody fucking cares. Also, a lot of Captain Tsubasa's soccer rules are just plain incorrect. Like, there's a lot of like soccer strategies in Captain Tsubasa that just like completely ignore the rules of soccer. But because in later episodes it just sort of rules they ignore the rules of physics that people don't really care. The real soccer is the yaoi we made along the way. How many of you guys are masturbating to your blue lock yaoi doujins? On a scale of not gay to Prince of Tennis, how gay is Blue Lock right now? What's the least gay sports manga now that I think about it? Do we have any sports manga that were just like, yeah, there's just no gay doujins of that one? Eye Shield might have too many hot girls in it. That's always a thing. Too heterosexual. Slam Dunk is straight. Slam Dunk is much more realistic. And you could say that Slam Dunk is pure or whatever, so... My heart will always be with the classics like Prince of Tennis. The original, this entire manga is based on... Every dollar it makes comes from gay yaoi fujoshi doujins. Does Ippo have doujin? Unfortunately, nobody cares about Hajime no Ippo at this point. So not only does it not have doujins, just people don't care. Not free. Prince of Tennis was so popular among women, it got its own musical. I don't think you need to know anything besides that. Baki is gay in a sort of heterosexual male kind of way. Like in a men slapping each other's asses after a hard day of football kind of way. It's not really gay in a Fujoshi writing doujins about it way. Although I'm sure there are Baki doujins because Fujoshi will make doujins of literally everything if they can. Baki is just the inherent homosexual tension that comes from men punching each other. It's not the stuff that women get hot about. Baki is gay, not Fujo gay. It's not even gay, because gay, they like more fat guys. like when you're getting into Bada doujins and stuff. It's not as ripped as that usually. Think Oliva and Yujiro have steamy, hot, gay sex only when it's convenient for the author. When he's starting a new chapter, he'll put in some sort of like random science fact about 1 year nitroglycerin suddenly became solid or something like that, and then talk about the physics needed to break a bottle in half using your eyelashes or some shit, and then he'll go to like a scene in which Yujiro and Oliver were having gay sex, and you'll be like, ha, of course it makes sense. They're testing the physics. Yujiro is always the top, no exceptions. If we wait long enough, if we get to Baki volume 250, there might be a scene in which Itagaki is like, he'll have a scene in which Yujiro is on the bottom, but there'll be like 10 pages of narration explaining how, despite taking a cock in his ass, Yujiro's incredibly powerful sphincter muscles are draining the guy of semen using this ancient technique of cock draining, and therefore Yujiro is actually dominant even while he's has a dick in his ass. And all the Baki readers will be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Nobody can beat Yujiro's ass muscles. Power bottom. Yes, that is the correct yaoi term. I can't remember any sports manga without yaoi or yuri doujins. Not any recent ones, that's for sure. I mean, we can look for some Hajime no Ippo doujins right now and see if I find any. Let's see. Let's go on eHentai. Hajime no Ippo. I'm seeing 36 results for Hajime no Ippo. And some of them aren't gay. I guess there's some female characters in Hajime no Ippo and they're having sex. It's mostly just Takamura gay stuff. Yeah, there's not many Hajime no Ippo doujins. I do not want to imagine Captain Tsubasa having any smut. That's my childhood. Even when you were a child, the older yaoi fujoshis were making smut of your favorite series. I didn't know this until recently, but I heard Clamp, the infamous fucking Clamp, started as a fake doujin circle that wasn't a real doujin circle, but existed as a way to obtain space in the Comiket area for the ultra popular what was it? Saint Seiya yaoi doujin. Author who went on to become a professional published mangaka and now is writing officially sanctioned Saint Seiya content. So this is the weird incestuous relationship between supposedly black market gay porn, Japanese culture, and like official published material. The author is just like, yeah, just get the woman who's published 30 volumes of Saint Seiya gay porn and have her do my spin-off. I can't believe Saint Seiya is gay. It doesn't make any sense. They're so heterosexual. Saint Seiya! Saint Seiya! Shounen wa mina Saint Seiya! Ashita no Yusha! Oh yeah! Jesus, please don't scream. Unfortunately, this stream is based on me screaming, so... Look, if everybody in chat agrees that I'm not going to scream anymore, then I'll stop screaming. But every time I've given people the option for me to stop screaming, they're just like, no. Believe in yourself. Follow your dreams. Keep on screaming. I've been told by other Twitch streamers that loud equals funny, so... Ah! Ah! No, Goku! If you keep on powering up, you'll destroy the entire planet. Do it, Dad! Ah! Can someone explain what the most powerful Super Saiyajin form is in 2025? I know there's been a... What was the most recent Dragon Ball anime that wasn't Super after Super that they had to make? Where Goku is small again? Have they introduced an even more powerful Super Saiyajin form since then? Do we have any Mexicans in chat that can inform us on what the most powerful Super Saiyan form is right now? This is very important information, obviously. I'm coping and telling myself it's still Super Saiyajin 4. What about all the multicolored hair? Can someone please explain the difference between Goku Blanco, Goku blue hair, Goku pink hair, Goku black, and not that kind of black? Goku did not go DEI. We mean black as in evil. I think. I wasn't actually following. He might have gone DEI and I just wasn't paying attention. That's always a possibility. Super Saiyajin Blue is still the most powerful Super Saiyajin form. Okay. I'm glad we have that cleared up. Goku lives in the hood now. Goku never has to live in the hood because he can fly at like 500 times the speed of sound, so no matter where he's living, he gets to get wherever he wants to go in like 3 minutes. He gets to live in prime uninhabited real estate. Also, he's friends with like literally the richest, smartest woman on the planet, so... Also, Chi-Chi would never let Goku live in the hood if he was still living with her. Chi-Chi is like peak Karen energy. She'd be like, Goku-sa, you can't let us buy this house out here in, I don't know, South Central Chicago. Gohan is gonna become a famous professor or whatever the fuck she wanted him to be. We need him to study so he can get into Harvard. We can't be living in this neighborhood full of people with different skin colors. And he'd be like, oh, sorry, Chi-Chi. Still can't believe Toriyama forgot about lunch. The only reason you care about lunch is because she was sexy, okay? Lunch is just like a million of the other Toriyama joke characters that appeared for 3 chapters and were forgotten about. The only people who are like, we have to bring back lunch is the ones who are like, but she's hot. I want to be shot by this mentally unstable woman. Giving me a flashback to a random t-shirt with a shot of Ice Cube and Chris Tucker with Friday going damn replaced with Goku and Vegeta. I think they're welcome to the neighborhood. If there's anything we know about the Dragon Ball world is that A, there's not a lot of black people, but there's a few. B, there was a lot of like animal humans, but then Toriyama stopped drawing them, and he also never really made any explanation of what they were, because he just liked drawing them. He didn't give a fuck. C, there's a lot of crime going on, but it's mostly being performed by white people. I remember in most cases, like a bank robber would show up. In general, they're white because it takes a lot of extra work to put the screen tone dotted sheet on the skin to make them have a gray skin color. If anything, the black characters in the Dragon Ball universe are more intellectual, if we remember. I think the only major black character they had was, what was it? One of the Red Ribbon generals. Wasn't he, wasn't like Mr. Blue or something? Wasn't he a black guy? No, Mr. Blue is, General Blue was the Nazi. What's the black guy's name? Oh, Staff Officer Black. He is literally called Staff Officer Black. Keck W. Was he in the manga? I thought he was in the manga, but I can't remember. Yeah. Yeah, he shot the short guy. Literally violence against short people by tall black men. Fellow short kings, when will we be finally free of the tall menace? I think this was the only time we had somebody that was like actually was obviously meant to be a black character instead of like Mr. Popo, who is kind of like a Indian racist stereotype / alien. Early Dragon Ball is best Dragon Ball, yeah. before they spent all their time doing stupid shit just fighting. Toriyama is way better at drawing like adventure stuff than he is at drawing just like endless combat. But the editors were like, no, this is more popular, you should do that. But when you have, for example, when you have everybody flying and capable of flying, there's like no reason to for Toriyama to draw all the cool planes and stuff that he wants to draw. So sometimes he'll draw them just because he wants them to be in a plane, but you're like, but why are these people riding a plane? They can all fly way faster than this plane. You know? There's a lot of shit like that that starts to happen in Dragon Ball Z. Because the plot that the editors are asking Toriyama to draw isn't really in sync with what he wants to draw, you know? I feel like Sandland is actually where Toriyama's talents were being maximized. He gets to draw all these cool mechas and all these cool desert environments and stuff. Murata can make endless combat work, but he can do anything. Apparently, Murata is incapable of just being satisfied with what he drew and actually making progress. So, no, he can't do anything. If you haven't been noticing, the One Punch Man storyline has reset for the third time, and they're back at the same chapter they were 2 years ago, because Murata is like, no, this isn't good enough. I'm going to reset the timeline. We're in a sort of endless 8 situation. Murata keeps on nuking all the progress he made. Isn't that common artist issue? It's not a common artist issue if the editors have control over them and are like, no, sir, you can't do that. We already published that. Please stop. But part of Murata's deal with Shonen Jump when he started doing the One Punch Man series was basically like, you can't tell me what I can do. I'm allowed to take my time. And I guess they're not allowed to tell him to stop redrawing the same fucking thing for the third time. Is he seriously redoing the Monster Society or whatever that arc was called? He's redoing this, there's like a ninja arc that goes into like this hidden ninja village, Naruto shit. But he hasn't enjoyed how it's been turning out, and he's redrawn it again and again and again. Have you seen Murata's son? He has enough to be proud of. He can do whatever he wants. I don't agree with that. If it was something like, I don't want to draw anymore because I have back pain, so you can't force me to draw shit at this painful weekly schedule, then I'd be all for it. And I think more authors are just like, should be like, I'm taking back power from the publishers and the audience, and I'm just gonna, you know, chill. But if the situation is which he can't be satisfied with what he's drawing and he's just making minute changes again and again and again and fucking resetting the timeline after years of work, I think he needs a fucking intervention. That's what I think. Because this is... You're right in which you say it's a common artist problem. And the reason why it doesn't become a common artist problem usually is because the artist needs to finish the painting because they need to eat. But Murata obviously is financially secure enough and he has a publishing deal, so it doesn't hurt him. But someone needs to fucking intervene and be like, no, sir, you have to... It's good enough. You're already the best artist on the fucking planet. You don't need to redraw this again. Someone needs to step in, because if he's just left to his own, he's just going to keep on redrawing shit forever. We need to free him from his own, you know, perfectionism, basically. Wasn't it the same with Miura? I think Miura was like legitimately just like he didn't know how to end the story. The thing is, here's the thing: the biggest difference between Berserk and okay, so Miura wasn't actually redrawing shit that he was already published. Okay, this shit was already published online, so people have already all read all the stuff that Murata is redoing right now. That's the huge difference. And he's like, no, 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 just wipe that shit from your brain. I'm gonna redo this. So all the fans that have been reading this past year are like, are you serious, dude? He's not fucking with the people who have bought the book volumes because they haven't been published as a book yet. But like, I understand why you would have to do it if you wrote yourself into a corner, but it didn't feel like he wrote himself into a corner at all, honestly. The part that makes it truly dumb is that One Punch Man is an extremely simple story, right? Like, this isn't complicated. One Punch Man is entirely a story about a lot of shit happens. There's a lot of heroes and villains that are just going around doing their shit. But at the end of the day, the whole arc, the gameplay loop of One Punch Man is there's all these people who think that they're extremely powerful and stronger and stuff like that. And then Saitama is going to show up and he's going to fucking punch them and they're going to fucking explode and die. And it's going to solve everything. Like, the whole story is already written. It's satisfying, it's simple, you don't have to worry too much about it. It's not like he's trying to write some sort of murder mystery and he made a critical mistake in the plot, and if he doesn't come back and fix it, then everyone's going to be like, wait, the story doesn't make any sense, he really fucked up. It's like one of the most simple, straightforward stories you can tell, but he can't be satisfied with what he's making. That's the problem. Hey, Men Hajinha, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate the support. I feel like Murata the writer is not nearly as good as Murata the artist. I mean, we don't know what Murata the writer is because we haven't ever had anything where he's officially the primary writer. Apparently he's cooperating with One to some degree on One Punch Man, but we don't know to what degree. After his first rewind of the current story progress, there were a lot of people thinking like, wait, is this because Murata fucked up his interpretation of One's story and One was like, no, you need to redo it? But after the second rewind, I think everybody was starting to catch on to like, no, this is Murata being unsatisfied with his own artwork or his own plot or whatever. It's not a One thing. I think everybody noticed. What's One up to anyway? Isn't Mob Psycho done? One is writing other stuff. Also, One Punch Man is not done. So a lot of people are saying that maybe Murata is choosing to go back and redo all of this shit because he's waiting for One to go forward with his version of the story so he doesn't catch up to it. But my guess is it's just Murata's being a perfectionist. Because if he wanted to wait for One to continue the story, he could just not draw more chapters and he could draw something else. I mean, there's a million people that would want to be the writer for a Murata illustrated manga, so he could do 2 at a time. But the fact that he's choosing not to and instead redrawing the thing, I think it's just his perfectionism getting in the way, honestly. Murata insists to keep many of the sexy monsters alive. That's one thing I can get behind. I have to masturbate to Mosquito Girl, so... Doesu. my wife getting corrected by Amai Masku. What do you think about the theory that Guts forgives Griffith in the end? I don't know. I'm not as confident in that as some people are about the continuation of Berserk without Miura, because I think that part of the reason why Berserk was delayed wasn't just the artwork taking forever. I think part of the reason it was delayed was because Miura didn't know how to finish the story, just like George R.R. Martin doesn't know how to finish the story. I think that was part of the problem. So I don't think Miura had as strong an idea of like how he wanted to end the story as people want to believe. And we might be just getting a reinterpretation of it. I think he kind of wrote himself into a corner, actually, by making Griffith too powerful. Because, like, Griffith is literally a god at this point. So how do you deal with that? Like, just mechanically, I don't think there's any way to power up Guts enough to be able to kill Griffith, unless Griffith chooses to die. The only way for it to make sense is for the gay ass sex with Griffith to be so good that Griffith is like, I have nothing to live for now that I've finally got fucked in the ass by Guts. I'm finally satisfied. How's the Twitter new bug been treating you? The media tab's not loading? Yeah, I've noticed that. At first I was like, man, this guy has 400,000 followers and I'm checking his media tab and he's only drawn like one page worth of drawing. What the fuck is this? Is he being botted? Did he switch from a different account? So he just got a lot of people like switching their accounts to this one, but it's just the media tab is fucked up. As usual, Elon is incapable of running a basic website, but that's nothing new, of course. We all knew that. Twitter sucks ass. Also, you know the popular Twitter artist, CEO of MILFs? CEO of MILFs contacted me like a month ago being like, hey, I thought that you had contacted me. He was sending me a message. But I guess not. Something. I think I got scammed. I'm trying to resolve this with Twitter. And I responded like, oh, what happened? Please give me more information. Is one of my fake accounts being used or something? And he never replied, which is a good thing because I thought it was him. But apparently the CEO of MILF's Twitter art account got fucking hacked. So it's sending these messages to all these other artists on Twitter, and then if you reply to them and click on the link, you'll get sent to like some sort of shit that will steal your fucking account, and then they'll like, you give me a $400 to give you your account back, shit. So yeah, good job, Elon. He is a virulent vector for other people replying. Yeah, I got one of his messages. He's not funny, by the way. All of his jokes are just like sexy woman and like sex, unlike me. My jokes are extremely complex, as you can see by this big titty female I'm drawing right now. So much consideration goes into my content. There's a joke. I haven't drawn it yet. It will blow your mind when you see it. Yeah, never click the link. Don't ever click any links, honestly, online. I probably would have fallen for it. Do you know how the system works? What happens when you click the link? Does just clicking the link, is that enough for them to seize control of your account? Because that's fucking pretty easy. That's some serious extreme shit. If all you need to do is click on a fucking link. Jesus Christ. Too many artists love to reblog shit that's not their art. Without media art, there's no way to use it as Twitter as a gallery. Yeah. In fact, they nerfed the media tab to begin with. Remember when the media tab, when you would click on art pieces in the media tab, you would also get like the comments and stuff, like you were clicking on the post normally, and now you only see the artwork. I preferred the previous version way more, where I could see what people are like commenting on the art, and now you can't even do that. So everything about Twitter has gotten worse, of course. Thanks, Elon. Unsurprisingly, as is often the case when Elon Musk touches something. Let's move to a new platform already, but where? That's the question. I created my Blue Sky account, although I haven't been updating it at all. They can most likely take your token from when you click, then they use that to gain access and pose as you, then change the password. I don't understand how that works. What's a token, guys? Is that just like what recognizes you as being signed into your internet browser? Because that would make it super easy to steal shit from anybody. If all you need is to click on one link. It's a randomly generated password. Well, let me make sure to delete the message I got from CEO of MILFs to make sure that doesn't happen. Never trust links from people you don't know, except BaalBuddy when he's trying to link to his Patreon. Then you should click on that and give him money. Buy your blue checkmark already, bro? How would that help me? If I have a blue checkmark, does that prevent me from being scammed? Seriously, is there any use to the blue check mark at all on this fucking planet? Shareholders love it. Apparently they don't love it enough, because I think Twitter is losing its value, although we don't know because it's not publicly traded, right? His stocks are tanking. Omega lol. I have something to tell you. Everybody's stocks are tanking. not just Elon's. The joke's not just on him, it's on all of us. I'm tanking this plane with no survivors. You have stonks? I have some. You're supposed to... I mean, I'm old, so... You're supposed to be contributing to your IRA, your non-taxed retirement account, because you only get to contribute a limited amount every year, so... I'm at least doing that. You only get to, like, contribute 6,000 or 7,000 per year, so... If you have the money, you should probably dump it in one of those, because the, it's not taxed, at least. I'm not doing it this year, though, because, you know, why dump it this right now when it's, everything's gonna be fucking crashing. I'd rather have that money on hand, so when I can buy when it's at a lower point, but yeah. Stonks can't tank if you don't have one. That's right. Poverty is the solution to everything, guys. Just don't have money. 5,000 IQ plays. You can't be further broke if you already are $1 million in debt. Just buy a tiny house easy. Just buy a house in Japan from all these dying Japanese people. Don't actually buy a tiny house, they're glorified trailers. Aren't they basically like the same price as buying like a car or something? Tiny house price. It's saying like fucking... I'm seeing prices between $20,000 and like $100,000. That doesn't seem affordable at all. I think I'd rather just use that money and rent an apartment for 4 months, which is how much I would be able to stay in an apartment at the current rents. Gentrified homelessness. We have reached that point, haven't we? We're just like, oh man, I sure love not having a house. Haunted houses go for cheap in Japan. If I click on YouTube, like, I bought a house in Japan, you can see, like, 100 people who are like, I'm a foreigner and I bought this $20,000 house in Japan. House buy in Japan countryside. And it's just like a Ghibli movie. Look at my wholesome life. We're from Vancouver, Canada, and we get to live in this shitty part in like Niigata or something. It's just like My Neighbor Totoro, guys. It's full of our Zashiki Warashi yokai girls. You have to clean up a bunch of shit. Also, you have to hope that it's the earthquake shit is up to date and you're not going to die when the house collapses in the next earthquake. It seems kind of nice, honestly.
It's about 3 degrees outside right now. Which means it's about 3 degrees inside right now.
You have to be okay with spiders. God, I fucking hate these people so much.
There are about 8.5 million Akia.
Does this guy look any more like these people? Could they be any more of like the fucking stereotype of the soy boy, pale ale drinking Brooklynite, wearing plaid, tattooed?
I speak Spanish and Japanese, so we narrowed it down to Mexico and Japan.
I guess it's better to live in Japan if your two options are Mexico and Japan, although I guess Spain isn't an option.
We wanted to live in a rural area with mild winters and a steady flow of tourism. We also wanted to be within an hour of a few major cities.
The most important reason we chose this location was to have the option of getting the startup visa, a relatively new option which was designed to help foreigners start businesses in Japan.
And what is your business going to be?
In the US, during a time that property values had increased, which is what we had to work with in order to start a business here in Japan.
Oh, they're going to do honey making. Okay, that's not that bad. Fucking island, not even Honshu. I mean, Honshu is still an island. We're all living on an island, guys. All of us. Why do you hate Canadians? Because I had a Canadian teacher in high school who was extremely fucking smug about Canada being superior to America, especially during the Bush years, which you can understand why he'd want to feel that way. So that really turned me off to their sort of smug-ass attitude. And I'm just like, the only reason why Canada even exists is because America is here to save your ass from being invaded. You fucking parasites. He was one of those type of Canadians who was like, America is the only country that doesn't have a name for their country. America is the name of the continent. Why do you use this word America to refer to your country? Your official name is the United States of America. That's not a real name. I was just like, what the fuck are you even talking about, dude? I wish I had a button to just nuke your entire country right now. Yeah. Canadians like to pretend that they're humble, but they're smug as hell. And then they're always like, no, we're humble. They're smug about the fact that they're humble as well. They're like, we're not like America. We don't brag about how great we are. It's like, you're bragging right now. Look, I'll apologize to all Canadians in stream if a Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup this year. If they don't, I'm just going to mock you as usual, because that's what you deserve. Isn't Toronto at the top seed for once? NHL standings. Yeah, the fucking Leafs are in the top of the Eastern Conference. Surely that means that they will win the Stanley Cup and not have and the Jets are in the top of the Western Conference. Surely that will mean they will win the championship and not have an extremely depressing first round exit, which causes the entire population of Toronto to drink themselves to death, like has happened in many previous years. Am I right, fellow Canadian hockey fans? To be fair, I still owe Canada a lot for them to end the Golden State NBA dynasty after all the Golden State players got injured, at least. Because I fucking hated that period in which Golden State had their fucking championship team plus Kevin Durant. That made basketball so fucking boring for like 3 years, right? Because, like, you knew that nobody could beat that team. I hated that. That's why I will always call Kevin Durant a cuck. It would be like if I was way more talented than an artist. If I was a talented artist on Murata's level, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to start using AI instead of drawing. Because what's the difference, right? I'm still producing images. And then I got angry when everyone was like, why the fuck are you using AI? I'm like, what's the problem? You guys wanted me to make manga. Why are you angry that I'm using AI? I'm still making manga. It's like, no, we wanted you, Kevin Durant. We wanted to see you actually like struggle and work for your championship. Nobody is ever going to celebrate somebody for doing something that's easy. The fact that he wasn't capable of understanding that is actually pretty crazy. It's such a basic shit. If humans wanted to celebrate people doing easy stuff, or all the heroes in society would be the jobless neets who never leave bed all day long, like me. They'd be like, look at Jerry. He hasn't had a job in 5 years. He just sits at home and plays Warcraft. He truly is the best of us. I wish we could all be more like him. Are you drawing in bed? Yes. There's only one place to sit in my room, and that's in bed. I don't even have a chair. I have a desk, but it's just it's covered in manga and like PS1 CD cases and stuff. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be sitting there anytime soon. Good luck with that. I wish that were me. Having a job is way easier if it doesn't involve you getting up out of bed and like driving to the fucking office. I feel like the act of driving to the office just saps you of 90% of your energy. Being able to work from home is such a goddamn blessing. Also, I get to draw titties, which is something I would do on my free time for my job, so there's that as well. You'll never hear me complain about this business I have right now, even if I'm not getting paid that much. Do you ever draw outie belly buttons? Never. I find them aesthetically unattractive, so no, I will never draw that. I also don't like inverted nipples either. Aesthetically, they just don't do it for me. Inverted nipples look hideous. Some people like them, but I'm not one of them. Does that mean you hate tit fucking like literal tit fucking? You mean those grotesque hentai where they stick the penis inside the nipples? Because nipples don't work like that, guys. I know this is hard for you to understand because you have never seen an actual nipple in your life. But you can't stick your 15-inch horse cock inside a woman's massive puffy nipple and fuck the inside of her tit. That's not how it works. That's a pro tip there, guys. The penis does not go inside the nipple. You'll thank me for this information when you try and do it on your wife. I like the inverted nipples, both the ones that sink into the chest and the mounds. I love them all, as well as the regulars and blackened ones. No. I do not love them. Also, a lot of people like to say that meme about how all boobs are equally precious, flat ones, large ones, and stuff. But they don't talk about the incredibly ugly, disgusting tits that are incredibly old and saggy and flappy and shit like that, which is what happens to most boobs when after they exit their brief period in which they're attached to a very young woman. Suddenly boobs aren't as attractive anymore. But we don't talk about that now, do we? We're just going to pretend that they're perfectly round and perky forever. The greatest taboo in all of manga and hentai and anime, anything, is the concept that hot women are going to get old and become not hot anymore. If you think about that, Oda has attacked this taboo multiple times in One Piece, where he'll show like the young version of a character and then show how she's become an old hag. And not a hag as in like a 40-year-old woman that you still want to have sex with, but like an actual hag full of wrinkles and stuff. Oda is one of the few courageous artists who are willing to do it. Remember in Naruto when Tsunade was using all of her chakra and like it was making her age because like her chakra is what keeps her young? Kishimoto took a lot of extra precaution to make sure that you didn't actually see the process, her face when she was becoming an old woman. Because he knew that it would just like fuck with the brain of too many people who wanted to have sex with her. Even if she went back to being young again, he didn't allow people to see the old version of her. He only showed her hand getting all wrinkly. But Oda is like, nah, I don't care. You see this this old woman? Yeah, she was hot once. Let me draw her when she was hot. You see this young woman? She's gonna be an old hag soon. Her sacrifice had no bite. Wait, Tsunade didn't die, right? I didn't even watch Naruto to the end. Didn't she survive? Didn't like 99% of the Naruto cast survive? I can't even remember. Did Kishimoto kill off any major characters other than the hentai sage? She got better. She got old, a fate worse than death. Oh, also he made Anko fat. Something that a lot of people are angry at him, even to this day, because she was hot. People are still angry that he allowed Anko to get fat. Her name is literally Mitarashi Anko, which, if you don't know, is like a Japanese bean paste dessert. So she was basically destined to become fat from the get-go. I thought fat Anko was Boruto. I think she was fat in the end of Naruto. I guess the nipple would be right here in this case. So you have to go center. I support fat bitches. Too many people support fat bitches in modern American society. If people were actually like, I don't want to have sex with this person because she's too fat, I think the fat population would go down a little bit. But yeah, that doesn't happen because we don't think like that. Fat becoming a normalized fetish is a tragedy. Let's be honest, guys will stick their penis in any kind of hole as long as there's a hole available. If we have to tell people to stop fucking goats, they're gonna definitely have sex with fat women. Boruto is not even his work anymore. It's something else. Might as well be fan fiction, but official. So I was talking previously in the stream about how some manga artists had to do assistant work for years and years before they were allowed to do their own stuff, like for like 25 years of assistant work. But the Boruto author is one of Kishimoto's assistants, and people are theorizing he was someone who wrote on the Japanese 2chan message board about how he both respected but hated the manga author he worked for, because Kishimoto was like, you have to find someone that replaces you before you're allowed to quit and start your own series. So the meme that I was talking about like you have to find your replacement before you quit, comes from that. Apparently it was a real thing that Kishimoto was doing, which is illegal, by the way. You can't just be like, you can't quit, because it's not like slave labor, but apparently he was doing that. I am radicalized against fat because I witnessed my mother's diabetes, including dementia and suffering. No one should be shamed, but it should not be clinically accepted. But think of the candy shareholders. The problem is that there's these studies that show that fat shaming doesn't actually work, right? I just said like 5 minutes ago that we shouldn't be accepting of fat bitches, but you can't just be like, you should stop being fat, because then they'll be like, no, you're making me anxious, and then they'll eat more. If these were the type of people that you could just like bully into being fit and healthy, then they wouldn't be fat in the first place. So I don't know what sort of coercion we should be doing to get them to stop behaving like that, but just fat shaming alone is not enough. In fact, it's probably counterproductive, because they're just going to stress eat and become fatter. So how do we solve that? I don't know. Certainly I'm not going to solve it. I mean, I think the obvious way is to not let people buy shit ton of junk food. One thing that RFK has been doing, besides all his stupid anti-vax shit, is like not letting people use their food stamps to buy junk food. And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of things I'm going to complain about with the current administration, but that's not one of them. If you're on food stamps and using my tax money, I don't want you to also be paying for your fat ass diabetes medication, insulin, when you just eat Cheetos as your primary food source. Concentration camps for fat people. I'm kidding, Twitch. Of course, we have them. They're literally called fat camps. I have no personal commitment to not be a hypocrite, so I do not actively call out fat people because I am not an example of human fitness. Also, you can still get diabetes and stuff even if you're not fat. It's hard to imagine that when you're in America because most American genetics are centered around getting fat and then getting diabetes, but there's a bunch of Japanese people who are skinny as fuck that have diabetes because that's like the Asian genes. The power of the Asian gene. Skinny fat beatus, Asian genes feels good, man. It's also what allows us to draw well. The 4chan drawing board, they have a meme about Asian genes. It's like you're not gonna make it without your Asian genes. And as someone who has quote-unquote made it by their standards, I also have the Asian genes, so I guess they're all right. They're proving me to be correct. You can get diabetes from excessive sugar. Yeah, type 2 diabetes is what we're talking about. Oh, and alcohol. Yeah, you can also drink yourself into diabetes as well. That is true. There's a lot of sugar in alcohol, turns out. Alcohol is bad for you on so many levels, but yeah, one of them is also the sugar content. There are different types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Yeah, nobody's comparing about type 1 diabetes, which there's some people. We're all complaining about type 2. Because that's the vast majority in America. We all know who you are. Americans just, you know, eating themselves and drinking soda until they get diabetes. I had health tests and my diabetes numbers were getting worse, so I'm like, I'm gonna cut sugar. Hopefully they'll be better the next time I check. Because I was eating a ton of sugar. Basically now is the time in which I'm being forced to make a lot of lifestyle adjustments. Because I can no longer use like my metabolism and working out and stuff to counteract my poor dietary habits at this point in my life. I don't get to eat Oreos 30 times a day anymore. It's a shame, really. Because I enjoyed that lifestyle, but... Beer is literally liquid bread. Tastes good, man. I mean, you need the sugar and the alcohol to start the fermentation process, right? I'm not a brewer, so I don't really understand how it works, but... You can just take, if you're in prison, you get your, what was it, your fruit, the canned fruit stuff, and you put it in a plastic bag and then like stick it in the fucking toilet and just let it sit there until it rots, and then you get your prison alcohol. I hate beer. I like beer. I just can't drink it because I don't have the genes that allow me to process alcohol. No drinking, no smoking, no gambling, no woman, no truck, no pets. No job, no sugar. I've turned my back on all of the great pursuits of Americans. Anything with sugar can be converted into alcohol, anything including blood sugar. Wasn't there a guy who had like some sort of a condition in his gut that would change stuff into alcohol if he would eat something. So he was like drunk at all times because his body was just producing alcohol inside his stomach or whatever. And he would get like DUIs, and he was like, no, I can't help it because I just have alcohol in my body at all times. You ever played Team Fortress 2? I played a little bit, actually. I played it with the orange box. I played it for maybe about 2 hours before I was like, yeah, I don't enjoy this. I never enjoyed hero shooters under any context. I can't imagine what kind of mental illness you need to play Team Fortress 2 for like 7,000 hours or however long people play it. Like, I can understand why you would play something like Dota for 7,000 hours, but Team Fortress 2? Are the hats really that important to you? What causes people to waste their life playing that game for so long? Because that's Demo Man. Demo Man was the character I was playing in those 2 hours in which I was playing Team Fortress 2. Actually, he seemed pretty powerful. It's not a hero shooter, it's just compartmentalized Quake. So you're saying it's an arena shooter where you're not allowed to do all the arena shooter things. I guess that's correct. Well, how would you define hero shooter then? Because it certainly has heroes. I feel like that is what a hero shooter is saying instead of being allowed to do everything you want to do by jumping around the map, hopping around like a dumbass, instead there's things that you can do already with your character, but you can't. There are some things you'll never be able to do. Demo is strongest class. He certainly does feel like strongest class. Isn't Medic strongest class though? For like comp and stuff. I remember reading about Team Fortress 2 comp for like 2 minutes, and I just remember there being like, you can't have more than one medic on your team because he's too powerful or something like that. Like it's not like a competitive game on its own, so for competitive to work in Team Fortress 2, they need all these like extra rules. Headshots counter all other playstyles. Can't you just like overwhelm a sniper if you have a medic and a heavy or something like that? Doesn't the medic overcharge just like counter everything? I honestly don't care enough about Team Fortress for me to actually look into this. I don't know. I also don't have much interest in playing a game in a competitive manner if it wasn't designed to be played in a competitive manner, such as Smash Brothers, for example. Like if you think it's cool, then fine, but I want the company behind it to be supporting the game so that like it gets updates and shit. Although that's not necessarily a good thing if you look at Tekken 8 right now and people are super pissed at how Haradan Bandai Namco is just like fucking over the game and making it worse. So it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but just watching all those Smash players be in an eternal struggle with Nintendo as they want to play Melee for their entire life, and Nintendo being like, no, stop having fun! Stop having fun, Melee players! You can't play Melee forever! Stop it! It made me really be like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not part of this this scene. Also for another reasons. There's a lot of other reasons why I wouldn't want to be part of the Smash scene, but that's one of them. You're not playing Marvel Rivals one hand, of course. I will never play a hero shooter. Also, my opinion on Marvel Rivals when it started coming out was initially, I can't believe people are so happy that they get this tiny smidgen of sexual content in their video games when we used to have it standard in all of our games. And my opinion has not changed on that. I know Emma Frost has big thick thighs and stuff, but I recently reinstalled Soul Calibur 6 on my my PlayStation, and I've been playing it to look at Ivy's jiggling ass and tits and reminiscing about a better age. Because, you know, I drew that Soul Calibur artwork recently, so I was like, man, that's making me think about Soul Calibur. Let me just reinstall it just to look at the boobs. We were just drowning in video game tits back in the day, but we didn't appreciate it. We didn't appreciate what we had, and now everybody's horny over, you know, these morsels given to them by Marvel Rivals. Ivy Lizardman, my favorite ship. Ivy getting gangbanged by 30 lizards is the canonical romance option of that video game. Porn has distorted my notion of Ivy, Sophicia, and Taki's proportions. They are much more thin and the tits aren't as big, but the jiggle is aggressive. As someone who is looking at official Soul Calibur artwork for the last 2 days drawing that artwork, I can actually counterpoint that by Googling Taki Soul Calibur 4. And presenting you with this image right here. In which you see her boob size is literally the same size as her face / head. Here's her head. Here's each one of her individual boobs. So, no, they're not much more thin. They're fucking massive, fat tits with extremely erect nipples. They're ridiculously large. Yeah. Her boob size changes from game to game, is what I would like to say. This is the peak size. They always said let the girls in, and now everything turned to shit, and most of them don't give a shit about this stuff, even now more so than before. Keck, you can let the girls in, but you can't let the girls dictate what content is being made. Because the thing about female consumers is that female consumers will produce content made for men, but men will not produce content made for women. So you're going to start eroding your male fan base if you have a male fan base and you start doing shit for women. You see this in a lot of shonen manga. You can have shonen manga with like sports manga and stuff, and the fan base and people who might be buying 90% of the content will be women, for example, but that doesn't mean you should start catering to the women, because they'll enjoy it no matter what you do. They'll enjoy it in its normal shonen-oriented content, because they're just going to have their own headcanon about how all the guys are gay and sucking each other's dicks and stuff like that. You don't need to give them any extra fan service. You produce something that's meant for men, and then the women will have their own fun on the side. That's how you should orient your stuff. Also, a lot of that is not necessarily women. It's the desire for the video game industry to be respectable. And a lot of the people that are bitching and whining or moaning are not actually the female consumers. It's leftist, culturally left people who are like, video games need to grow up, who don't actually like video games that much. I mean, we talk about this shit pretty much every stream, and it's a good thing that it seems to be on its way out. But the aggressive leftist cultural push of demonizing heterosexual male sexuality is part of the reason why we have that orange-colored retard in the White House right now. There's like a 20-point voting gap for the younger generations between female voters and male voters, with male voters like 20% more likely to vote Republican than Democrat. And I think that can be attributed to these cultural pushes that the left was trying to make for the past 10 years or so. You can't tell guys that they're bad human beings for enjoying looking at tits. It's that simple. You're not exactly wrong, but it's kind of hard to design characters the way you draw them in a game studio in front of actual respectable human beings. Don't let society dictate what's respectable and not respectable. Do you see the names of songs on Kanye's next album? I did not. I assume it's something like Israel doesn't have a right to exist or something like that, right? Don't clip that, by the way. Actually, Twitch might not care. I don't know what the point what sort of cultural situation Twitch is in at this, right? Worse? Is it just like Hail to the Third Reich or something? World War III, Heil Hitler, Mein Kampf. Oh god. He's just become a professional troll now. You know what would be particularly funny? If the songs were just like real bangers. And everyone was like, you know, Kanye, you've gone full troll. I can't get behind this. I can't get behind the song in which it's 90% just praising Hitler. But I have to admit, it's a real fucking banger. And I'm going to have to play this at the club because it's just so great. Hitler mentioned twice. I mean, to be fair, we just had a Super Bowl performance featuring a diss song calling Drake a pedo, so I mean, anything is possible, right? Who knows? Maybe we'll just have a huge hit about the Third Reich coming up right now. If there's anyone who can do it, it's Kanye. I still believe in his possibilities.
Stick your finger in my ass.
This thing is $300.
Truly one of Kanye's best work.
Let's get your ass back here.
Man, this hat is hard to draw.
Sometimes I pull on it so hard, I rip the skin.
Oh, dang it up.
Fuck you.
I want to see 6 hot loads on your DI's hat now.
Let's get your ass back here. Fuck you.
Finger in my ass. 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 Stick your finger in my ass.
Deep, dark fantasies. Deep, dark and fantasies.
Yes, we can. Yeah, certainly compliment.
Do you know that there's a Japanese gay porn parody song that has like 15 million, or maybe it was more than that, I can't remember, but it's like a top 10 hit, or maybe it was like number 1 on the Japanese charts right now, and everybody has to pretend like they don't know what the song is about because it's gay porn parody.
Do you like what you see?
Okay, maggots. I want to see 6 hot loads on your DI's hat now.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see if there's any other Kanye gotchi. No. You'd think there'd be more Kanye gotchi, but not much. Dark fantasy gotchi. Let's try that. No, there's Dungeon Force. Deep dark fantasies. What about like All of the Lights? I feel like All of the Lights should have a gotchi. No, not really. Sad. Our gotchi artists have they haven't delivered enough. Ah! You think the duck is doing okay right now? I don't really care, obviously, but...
It's so fucking deep. Do you like what you see? Swallow my cum.
Stupid minor mistakes. I can't even remember what he actually got in trouble for. What was it? He was texting someone using the Twitch message system so he could have sex with them. I can't remember.
Sorry for what?
Oh! Take it, boy. Sexual DMs with minors. I can't believe they abandoned our guy over such minor mistakes.
It's so fucking deep.
Also, this was after he had, he got caught cheating on his wife at like a TwitchCon bathroom, right? It's a good example to show that you should really never forgive somebody if they get caught cheating, because they're probably just going to do it again. Although his wife was probably okay with all the money he was bringing in. Something with a trans sex worker, if I recall correctly. Seems about right. Gillette. Best a man can get. $7 p.m. Alright, I have to go now. See you around, guys. It's time for me to go run. Have a nice night. Why isn't Constrictor timed out yet? I can solve that before I leave. Hold on. Alright, see you around, guys. Good night. Have a nice night.